Hey everyone, Karen Smith, Master Strong First Kettlebell instructor here, and today we're talking about the deadlift, and that's the kettlebell deadlift. There's several variations that I'm going to go over with you today, and it's really great place to start if you haven't gained the strength to move on to a barbell. So let me go over a couple things with you first. There are similarities that you need to focus on or should focus on for each of the deadlift variations that I'm going to show you, and also the breathing is important. So I want to teach you about the breathing and then the similarities of each deadlift, and then I'll show you each example. They can all be done single or double, so hope you guys enjoy. First, like I mentioned, the breathing. What we want to focus on with our breathing is an inhalation when you hinge. So you're going to inhale through your nose, just a big sniff in, and then when you exhale, it's a tension breath or a hiss. So what would happen is you would put your teeth together, tongue against your teeth, and hiss. So that happens, and it matches the hip drive. So think about that when you're doing your lifts, and I will demonstrate that. The other thing that I need you guys to remember is tension breath or holding your breath is not necessarily recommended if you have heart condition or high blood pressure. So make sure before you try this that you do check with your doctors and make sure that this is approved for you. Okay? The similarities in each of these deadlifts is to remember that a deadlift is a hinge. We're not squatting. We are going to send the hips back. We're going to keep a nice neutral spine through all of the lifts. We're going to keep our head pointed and looking at the horizon versus sending it back and forth. And the other thing that's really important in all deadlifting is to make sure that you load your lats. You don't want to try to pick something up heavy off the ground and not be engaged. If you do, then you could be rounding your back and causing yourself injury. So make sure you have a nice tight core by utilizing the breath, loading the lats, hinging at the hips, and having the right eye position. So from there, I want you guys to have options. So the deadlift is phenomenal. It's going to give you a lot of carryover to a lot of other exercises. And one that I feel is a really great carryover is for all of you guys that are wanting to do pull-ups. If you work up to a deadlift where you're lifting 1.5 to 2 times your body weight, your pull-up is going to be much easier, okay? So, where do we start? The first deadlift that I want you to think about is the Sumo deadlift or the Kettlebell Sumo deadlift. It's a little bit different if you're doing a Sumo with a bar, you're going to be a little bit wider. But for the kettlebell, the key is you're going to make sure that the bell is placed between your feet. Your feet are going to be about shoulder width apart, and your toes can turn out slightly. Then from here, again, you're going to inhale, hinge, grip the bell, and stand up. Okay? That's a single bell. If that bell is too low to the ground, for example, if you don't have the mobility or the flexibility to reach it, you want to elevate the bell. You can do that with a step, a box, but the key is lift it up, stand, okay? So there's no need to lean over and round your back because your hamstrings are not flexible enough to get to the ground. Elevate your bell. Don't be afraid to take that regression. The next thing with the Sumo would be to go to double bells if you're wanting to lift heavier. So what we do is we take the 2 bells and we put them in a V. Touch the bells with the inside of your instep and then slightly turn your feet out. Everything else will be the same. Hinge, inhale through the nose, grip your bells, load your lats, and stand up. So that's your double Sumo deadlift. The next one that I want you guys to think about is the Suitcase deadlift. And I really like these preferably single, only because it's going to show you if you have any asymmetries from one side of your body or the other. And again, you can elevate this bell if you cannot reach the ground. So the way the Suitcase deadlift looks is you're actually going to stand slightly more narrow, and you're going to put the bell to the outside of your foot. The key here is to not lean to the side to get your bell. It's still a hinge. So make sure that it's at the right elevation so that you can reach it and not have to lean over to get it. So we're going to hinge the hips, nice neutral spine, pack the shoulder, stand up. And again, you can do this double, but I would start single and see if you have any issues with leaning to the side, or if your knees start to cave, so that's something to look for. But you can put a bell by each foot, hinge, load the lats, and stand up. That's your suitcase deadlift. The next one that I'm going to go over with you is the single leg deadlift. And this really is actually one of my favorite variations because it's going to give you a lot of balance work. It's also going to be a great progression if you're wanting to move on to other single leg work, like single leg squats or pistols. What we're going to focus on, though, is not necessarily just the lift off the ground. We really need to focus on what the non-working leg is doing. Why I say that is a lot of times people will get into their single leg deadlift position and they'll just bend this leg, send this leg back here. Well, what that causes in many cases, not all, but many, is that when people go to hinge, they round their back. And we don't want to do that. We want to stay nice and tall, nice, long spine. So what I want you to focus on is plant the working leg. The back leg, you're going to push through the heel and keep that leg straight. So it goes here. Then from there, you're still going to hinge, same as every other deadlift. Reach for your bell, follow through, and then find the ground again. Okay, so that's your single leg deadlift. Now, the variation that I just did for you was ipsilateral, which is outside of your working foot. My favorite is actually inside the working leg, which would be here. You can do double bells, one in each hand, just like the other variations. Or you can, if you're new to bells, doing single leg deadlift, you can also put your bell in the front and grip, and grip here, okay? The key is you're still hinging, and you're still extending this back leg, and you're still loading your lats, no matter the variation, okay? And if you were doing double, same thing, one in each hand, but focus on really lengthening that back leg. The last variation that I want to talk to you about, I also really enjoy these because you can load these really heavy, but you're still putting the emphasis on one leg. The other leg is your kickstand. So it's a kickstand deadlift. You place a bell on each side of your foot, and your stance is going to be really narrow here. I want your feet, the working leg, the other leg, the kickstand, your toes are going to be bent, your knee is going to be bent the whole time, and it's right by your ankle, and then you hinge at the hips. So it would look like this. Plant the foot, soft leg, loaded leg, hinge, load the lats, stand up, and then you switch. Soft leg, loaded leg, hinge, and stand up. Okay? Lots of variations. I hope you guys enjoy. If you have any questions, make sure you comment on the article. Thanks and have a great day.